Hello and welcome to one of my most highly requested videos. Today we're doing a shelf tour, looking at my fantasy and sci-fi shelf, mostly fantasy, and yeah, just showing you the books I have, telling you about them. So, firstly, I've got some of my favourite books. I've got my Stormlight books, currently missing The Way of Kings because my sister's reading that. I've got my whole family reading The Way of Kings. I've got three older sisters and my dad all on book one, and they're having a great time so far. I was reading it with them, but I couldn't put it down. I got a bit too far ahead. Then I've got my Rhythm of War Part 1. I've got the other copy hidden down below because I just didn't have enough space for it up here. In the UK editions, Rhythm of War is broken up into two copies because it's just too big for one book, and I wasn't able to get it in this version, which was a bit annoying. Then I've got my original Mistborn books, the ones that got me into reading fantasy, along with Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. Just fantastic copies. Got Faithful and the Fallen fully on display because this is just a top 3 series all time for me. Absolutely incredible. And now I just hide these Sanderson books because I've already got enough Sanderson on the shelf, and these aren't as highly rated as the other books, in my opinion. I also haven't read Elantris yet. Then this one, I also get a lot of comments about my little Mando helmet. I got this in Bali when I was over there last year. Thought it looked pretty cool. Got my matte gold one. And yeah, I thought it just makes a little bit of nice texture to the shelf. I really want to have Lego on the shelf, but I just know if I started buying Lego, I would never stop and I would just have a massive collection. And I'm trying to be pretty minimalist. Like, I try not to buy too many books or too many things, so I don't really have any of the Lego stuff. Before I change the camera and set down a bit lower, I'll just go over my books that I have that I'm reading at the moment. So obviously I got my Kindle. Just every reader needs one of these. They're just so good, so convenient, makes reading cheaper, takes up no space. I'm reading The Lesser Devil at the moment, the first novella in the Sun Eater series, and it's probably going to be my favourite book of the year so far. I've got The Last Argument of the Kings just been sitting next to my bed for ages because I have to read it. I just haven't got to it yet. Then I've got the first Elric Saga volume out of its dust cover, and I need to get to the second book in this one. I just haven't got to it yet. I haven't had enough time, but I will soon. And then this morning, I grabbed The Will of the Many off my shelf because I'm going to be doing a buddy read of this with Andy Peliquin starting today, and I am super keen to dive into this series. So level number 2, we start over with my Great Dune Trilogy book. I picked this one up secondhand about a year ago, and I've read the first 2 books of the trilogy, and I'll be reading the last one. I always find with Dune, I have to do it with an immersive reading, so I have the audiobook playing in my head whilst I'm reading the words. Playing in my head, that doesn't sound right, does it? Anyway, you know what I mean. And yeah, I love it. Love good old classic cover. And yeah, it's really good. But you'll notice it's just the text is pretty tiny. That's all right, especially if I did the audiobook as well. Then we've got my favorite editions and my favorite covers. We've got the Elric Saga editions. So I've just got the dust jacket because book 1 is sitting over there. And these are just some of the most stunning covers on my shelf. There's not enough artwork in these books, but there is still some, and it looks pretty good. I'll see if I can find some. So we've got like Elric or his partner just chilling there. And there we go. There's a big eagle thing. Elric just looking like a savage standing up there. And oh, yeah, there's Stormbringer. So yeah, pretty nice books. They are on the cheaper side for special editions, and these ones are just more for the story. You get all Michael Moorcock's Elric Saga stories in concise volumes that's laid out in the right order, which is very hard to find on the internet. If you even search the Elric Saga, it's pretty much impossible to figure out which books go where unless you just get these editions. And and again, very affordable for a limited edition series. I'm super excited to keep digging into these. Then next, we've got my The Fall of Numenor. I damaged this dust cover because it had a price tag on it. When I was trying to take it off, I messed up. I just really dislike when people put stickers on books. It's, again, a pretty cheap special edition. Nothing too special about it. But I'm excited to read some more Tolkien because I just haven't read enough Tolkien. Then we've got our first non-fantasy book. We've got The Children of God and Fighting Men by Shauna Lawless. I have no idea who Shauna is. I just saw her do a podcast with Mike's book reviews, and she just sounded like an absolute legend. So I got one of her books because, come on, look at that cover. absolutely stunning. This one's a historical fiction about Ireland and when Vikings were raiding. So I really want to read this one soon. So hopefully I can get to it in the next month or two. Then, if you know me, you know I love my Andy Pelican reads. So I've got 3 of his across this shelf. I've read the Queen of Thieves trilogy, short, grim, dark fantasy. The books are stunning, just super easy to read and fly through. I love these covers. And yeah, if you haven't checked out these books, you got to. Andy's just the best in the game. Then we've got my 5 Warrior Angels. So if you know Brian Lee Durfee from BookTube, he's an author too, and his books sound right up my alley. They sound like Game of Thrones. They sound a bit like The Faithful and the Fallen. Pretty dark, pretty gritty, pretty epic fantasy. So look at those covers. Come on. You just got to have those on your shelf. We've got my 2 First Law standalone books, which I was able to pick up in a secondhand store when I got the June book. And my Best Served Cold one's got a really faded spine, which is a little bit annoying. But again, to get these secondhand nice and cheap was just a really good pickup because they're just stunning. They're not as nice with like the texture of these ones, but you get what you get. Then I've got my Nevernight books, which are some of my favorite covers I have. These ones I just got from a friend whose mum was cleaning out someone's house and they just had a bunch of fantasy books that they were just going to take to the secondhand store. So they just brought them to my house first and I selected all the ones I liked. So I got these and I got my entire Raymond D. Feist collection, which I'll show you next. Hidden away behind Darkblade, we've just got The Lost Metal. So just another Sanderson book that's taking over my entire shelf. So coming down another level, we've got my Lord of the Rings books. It's a set I got off Amazon, and it's super hard to get these in and out once you've read them. So they stay tucked away in there for good. We've got a couple book ones of trilogies from British authors that I'm pretty sure I'll like. So I've got Justice of Kings and We Are the Dead. So book 1 of the Empire of the Wolf trilogy and book 1 of the Last War trilogy. And I really want to read these 2 and then just pick up the rest on my Kindle. I just haven't got around to them yet, but I'm pretty sure I'll love both. Then I've got my Witcher books, of which I've read the 5 main books of the series, but I haven't read the 2 short story novels, which I hear are the best. But I didn't know about them until I'd already read the first 5 books, and by that point, I just burnt myself out with Witcher. Then we just got my copy of Name of the Wind. Nothing special, just it's there so I can get around to it. Then you know how much of a fan I am of the Demon Cycle. I've got the books here. I've got another one down here that doesn't match the sizings of these. Just a fantastic dark fantasy series that gets a lot of hate, but I personally love it. Then obviously I got my First Law books. Just come on, these textures are just the best things ever. Like, come on, just doesn't that just sound good? And hidden away here, the one I usually have on display, just tucked in so it didn't fall over. I've got the full, my one Ryan Cahill book I own. I need to buy more Ryan Cahill books. You know how much I love his series, Around the Broken. I read all on my Kindle, but yeah, the full, like it's less than $10 on Amazon, so I had to get it so I could have some of it on my shelf to show you guys. Then, as you know, I'm currently reading the Sun Eater series. I do have Empire of Silence book 1 as well. That's just with my dad at the moment. I'm trying to convince him to read it because the text here is, again, really tiny, so I've just been preferring Kindle or audiobooks for these ones because my library has the first 2 books on audiobook, which definitely helps. So then coming down to another level, we've got the families editions of the Game of Thrones and Harry Potter. As you can tell, my family loves reading fantasy books, and these are just absolutely demolished. This isn't our original copy of the Order of the Phoenix. We actually had another one, but it got completely destroyed. And by happen chance, I was walking past a local book nook, like, you know, like the leave a book, take a book sort of things. And they had the exact edition I needed. And I just thought that was perfect. And then we've got Daniel Green's books. I've read Breach of Peace, but I haven't read Rebels Creed yet. I really liked Breach of Peace, and I just never got around to Rebels Creed. I should. I've liked it. I want to check them out. And then, yeah, I've got the Powder Mage trilogy, which is something I've wanted to check out for like 2 years now and just haven't got around to. So I've got room for improvement. So then right down the floor here, we've got the books that you don't normally see. So I've got all these Raymond D. Feist books that I was just given because someone was throwing away a bunch of books. And then I've got all my sisters, Sarah J. Maas, Throne of Glass books because I've been told so many times I need to check out this series. And from what I know, because I've actually read Akatar, I think I'd actually really like this series, but I just haven't had the time to get around to it yet. And right here, we've got my newest book I just got. I got this one from a secondhand store, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, a George R. R. Martin book I haven't read yet, so I'm super excited to read this one. Then we've got a little bit of Matthew Riley, non-fantasy, kind of like a superhero sort of book. Super interesting. Matthew Riley is an author I don't talk about enough on this channel, but he's one of my favorite authors of all time. Just he writes action stories in the best way, and he's Australian as well, which is always cool. Then over here we've got my Books of Earthsea sitting here waiting for me when I get ready for it. Legends and Lattes, a couple Star Wars books my mate wants me to read that I haven't got to yet. And then we've got the banned books, The Kings of the Wild and Bloody Rose, which both sound incredible and I really need to get to. Lastly, we have my bottom shelf. So we have all the smaller editions of the Raymond D. Feist books that fill out pretty much his entire world. I don't think I'm missing too many books. I've got this one that I picked up as well from the same collection, because look at that cover. Like, doesn't that just give off Clan of the Cave Bear meets fantasy vibes? I really want to check that out. And I've heard a few people mention in my comments without even seeing the copy on my shelf. So I'm really keen to check it out. Then I've got my Wheel of Time books, which I just hide now because, I've gone off the series. It kind of really let me down later on. Dragonbone Chair, a really influential series I just haven't got around to reading yet. We've got a little bit more Demon Cycle. We've got we've got the first Legend of Driss trilogy that I need to check out. Some Dan Brown, some more Matthew Riley, another Star Wars book, Darth Plagueis. I really loved that one. We've got The Hobbit, and they've got Isaac Asimov, I, Robot. I picked that up from a Leave a Book, Take a Book library. Really loved that. And then we got my parents' copy of 1984, George Orwell, which is another series I need to check out. And I really need to dust my lower shelf. But yeah, that's my shelves. That's my books. Thank you for watching this video. Have a great day. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Yeah, good one.